Hello, I'm Tara Ledesma, your host of The Gaper's Delay. Andy will be off for this episode as he has work commitments. He will be on our next podcast, which, by the way, I do want to mention, we did join Podcastathon, which is uniting podcasts for charity. Our podcast will be aired on March 14th. Our charity we chose is Make-A-Wish. We chose the 14th because that was the day I lost my sister, and it's also my grandpa's birthday. And because she had the benefit of Make-A-Wish, it felt appropriate. So that was chosen. So I hope you all tune in. The episode will be about rescue, adopting, and shopping with pets. So that should be an interesting episode. But for now, we're going to get into episode 9. Episode 9 is about what everybody seems to be rabbit holing on. The files. I think with all these files being dropped, we've experienced some sort of crash out at some level to our own degree. I'm going to play an audio clip of mine. It was never posted anywhere. It was just something I recorded and it just kind of sat there. It was just frustration, I guess, needed to get out. Let me play that for y'all now. I dispatched for 14 years. I quit around 2017, 2018 in there. Throughout this job, I've got multiple certifications in multiple different areas because we did police, fire, EMS, and 911. And we also did EMD, which is emergency medical over the phone to sustain life until paramedics arrive on the scene. So I had extensive training within the field that I was in. One of the things I did in my career during that time was I played a 12-year-old girl that the detectives were emailing this man back and forth pretending to be a 12-year-old. Well, the man now wanted to make verbal contact. So the detective asked me and I played the girl on the phone and we successfully, mostly them, but we successfully got him to the bait house and he was arrested. This made me deep dive down the pedo rabbit hole, if you will, because we have to do stuff with their files when they come in to register, the ones that register. Not everyone registers, but the ones that register, you know, we have to maintain their files and stuff and, you know, make sure. We called one time and there was this guy, we were going through the file and he was actually working at a bookstore in Chicago. And he was actually, when we called the bookstore, he was in the children's book section, was his department. So I went further down the rabbit hole, and that's where I came across the interview with Kendall on Dr. Phil. I came across the movie Whistleblower from 2010 and finding out she got fired for trying to bring attention and awareness to it. And I'm mad and I'm frustrated because it's like there's no accountability anywhere. And this is 2003 me to 2018 me, figuring this all out, trying to figure out why no one else is freaking out. Like these folders are ridiculously thick folders of files of these. And in some of the learning material, you know, you learn like the grooming, how they have cages, like signs to watch out for. And it was very in line with what was on Whistleblower, what Kendall's accounts were, everything in my training lined up with all of this. Then I discovered NAMBLA, which blew my mind. I couldn't believe that even existed. I think it opened in 1978. So now I'm even further down the rabbit hole, waiting for everybody to wake up and see that this is a problem, like a very big problem. Now the files are out. Now everybody knows. Everybody knows what I've been trying to scream forever. And at first I'm like, okay, great. Something's gonna happen now. We're gonna protect these fucking kids, right? You know, they're gonna be protected. Because kids need protection. They can't do it themselves. And nobody's taking action. And yes, NAMBLA is in the files. I checked. I don't know why I was surprised that they were in there. So now everybody knows. The King of England just arrested his brother. But us, we got other shit to do apparently. Just another Thursday, just another Friday. The weekend's coming. We got shit to do in America. Well, fuck, we ain't got time for that. I do want to know the motive for that guy that stormed the Capitol. I would like to know his motive. You know, we scream out active shooter names in schools more than we do the kids that are lost. Like, you can say an active shooter name and a kid that was deceased, and somebody's likely to recognize the shooter over the deceased. Do you all know that they got us in a psychological chokehold, right? Like, I don't even think I'm being metaphorical anymore. I think they literally have us in a psychological chokehold, and we're just going to go on like business as usual. Speaking of psychological chokehold, let's talk about these files, shall we? Now, like I said, I dispatched for 911, and all the things that I dove into. One of the things is NAMBLA, N-A-M-B-L-A. Some of you may know this. Others may be like, what in the hell is that? Let me tell you. It stands for North American Man-Boy Love Association, and it has an acronym for PIE, which is Pedophile Information Exchange. It's in the files if you go into search and put in NAMBLA. It's almost like they used it as a guide. I'm just speculating. But this was founded in 1978 because they thought it was an unjust age of consent. The headquarters was in San Juan, California initially by a man named David Thorsted. He passed away in 2021. They faced a lawsuit back in 2000 in a wrongful death of a 10-year-old boy. I have not yet looked up the case. It is Curley, C-U-R-L-E-Y, versus NABLA out of Boston. I probably should have looked it up before this podcast, but you know how the rabbit holes work, right? In the millennium, this guy switched to political movements, even holding archive papers in the University of Minnesota, which I kind of find gross, but whatever, USA, right? In 1979 through 86, I found records that the FBI was looking into him. There's an online report you can find of that. It's like 550 pages, though. But you could definitely go to the Epstein files and search NAMBLA, and I think there's like 4 or 5 maybe files in there, but it's not for the weak. So just if you're in that rabbit hole, that's one to kind of look into. And like I said, it almost felt like it was used as a manual. My other reference point was Whistleblower from 2010. It's a biographical drama. I wanted to get that right because a friend and I kind of go back and forth when I call it a movie. So according to Google Online, it is a biographical drama. And it's about this Nebraska cop named, she's played by Rachel Weisz. Weisz? Am I saying that right? Her real name is Catherine Bolkovac. B-O-L-K-O-V-A-C, sorry. Oh, good grief. She is now actually an advocate, but she was uncovering a United Nations sex trafficking ring while serving as a peacekeeper in post-war Bosnia. I highly recommend this movie because the fact that they fired her for exposing, again, it brings me back to the Epstein files and all the redactions that shouldn't be redacted, you know. Another interview I had witnessed. She is now an activist. Her real name is Kendall Alaimo, A-L-A-I-M-O. I might be mispronouncing that too. My apologies. She is an award-winning activist. She was undercover on an episode of Dr. Phil just under the name Kendall. It was season 15, episode 125, and it was titled Private Planes, Black Tie Parties, Elite Sporting Events, The Shocking Story of One Woman's Life in Sex Trafficking. The video is online, so you can go look it up. That's why I provided the episode number and her name. It did air March 21, 2017. And this aligns with the training that I had with what she said in this. And she talks about being sold by her parents and the graphic life that followed after that. I recommend those only with a stable mind at this point in the rabbit hole. Watch this because the details are graphic, and like some of the stuff you see online, there is no going back. But this is going to give you an A to Z of what some of these victims might be experiencing from beginning to end. So it's definitely worthwhile. The interview, her story was deemed credible. It was looked into, so I definitely want you to look into that. And then I just have a couple, because I know y'all been in them files, so I'm just going to read a couple of the ones that stood out for me specifically. What I found personally odd, I'm going to give you the file number. So if you don't already have a pen, because I know my investigators out there already got a pen, but if you want to look it up, it is EFTA 0013623. And this is the one that gets me. It appears that the Department of Justice subpoenaed what looks like the correctional officer's email. Now, in this email, the last sentence is, and I quote, "You guys, I am shaking right now, but I think they switched him out," end quote. And of course, they're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Here's my thing. If I'm employed by the Department of Justice and I clearly know that this man is deceased, why would I be subpoenaing a correctional officer's email if I knew he was deceased? Because I feel like that email would kind of be irrelevant unless somebody has other explanation. That to me seems odd. The next thing I find kind of odd, you ever seen the Netflix movie The Hunt? It came out in 2020. It's where like the elite kidnap about 12 people and they kind of just throw them out into the wild and then they start hunting them for like a sport. Now, get your pencils ready. The movie was kind of crazy because a lot of people thought there was some truth to that. And this file stood out to me. Here we go. EFTA 017395252. Let me do that again. It's EFTA 017395252. It came out October 2016, and it's to the Arlene D. Rothschild from Epstein. And here's what it said, and I quote, "Got it. Amazing old male and an amazing hunt," end quote. Now, the email that she sent to him was titled Thrilling Hunt. I recommend watching the movie if you will. This could be totally a stretch. I don't know. I'm just saying I found it odd because if somebody's going hunting, why would they call it a thrilling hunt? I know some hunters, and I don't think, they go out during deer season, during whatever season it is. I don't think I've ever heard the word thrilling and amazing put together. Now, could this just be her emotions? Maybe this was her first time and it was a real hunt. It could be. But I just, I find it odd with everything going on, but everybody is their own judge. Now, one last thing. I found this, a lot of people have been saying, speculating, let's say that. We'll use speculating. A lot of people have been speculating from Princess Diana all the way down to different celebrities that they have either been cloned, killed, that, some that committed suicide actually didn't commit suicide, which, side note, if you're ever having thoughts of harming yourself, please reach out and seek help. I want you to ask anybody for help. You can call 911. There's resources out there. The number 988 is also a resource to use when you feel like you may need to reach out for help. Definitely call 988 as well. That being said, let's get back to this last one I wanted to go over here. If you didn't put your pencils down, pick them back up. EFTA 000 80477. Now, this one I found odd, that it was in the files. It was talking about transmitters, like via RF audio and video, like both. And I quote from this file, it said, and I quote, "These transmitters send a signal, RF audio and video, that are used to make people receive a signal in a way that interferes with their central nervous system," end quote. They mention how it can cause hallucinations, sexual interactions, and driving people to commit suicide. Now, if you're anywhere where my brain's going, I think of, Anne, whose car automatically sped up as she drove away. I think of a lot of people in this instance where, is this real? It's in the files. I didn't look up any patents or go to, any government website to see if anything has been declassified. But it's in the files. And if it works, then this is an even bigger case on our hands. It's only 3 pages, and here's what I found interesting. It mentioned the Ashley Madison Network, and it referred to it, in a pretty interesting way. So I definitely recommend looking that one up as well. This rabbit hole can just go on and on. I'm not going to take up everybody's time because I know everybody's doing their own research or just trying to ignore it altogether, whatever your stance may be. It can be very overwhelming. So make sure you indulge in, self-help and self-love. If you get too deep down this rabbit hole, you got to remember to pull out and kind of ground yourself, because you can't help others until you help yourself. So before I wrap up this podcast, I do want to add, I would love if you guys can go on over to Amazon. Yes, this is a plug for my books. I have 2 books on Amazon. The one book I wrote, Reading My Late Sister's Cancer Journal, that money, half it goes to a charitable fund. And then I also wrote another book. So if you type in my name, Terra, Terra, Ledesma, Ledesma, into the Amazon search, you will find both my books. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you also so much for considering going to Amazon, whether you do or don't. At least you considered it, right? So until next time, that will be our podcast-thon episode, and we hope you all join. It's for a good cause. Have a great day.